All right. I believe we are here.
Hello, hello. Oh
Welcome,
God.
welcome everyone to Lesson Learned. We are a conversation about Mythcraft, and we will cover just about everything. I am Corey Griffin,
And I'm Kobe Randolph.
and today we're going to be talking about the Radine lineage. I think, right? Radine,
Yeah.
yeah,
Radine, what we doing?
Radine. Yeah, we had some people ask us to do the Radine, so that's what we're going to do today. Um, so, all right. What are Radine? Radine are a marriage between psionic technology and biological flesh. Radine forms carry immense latent magical powers. They're born to any like flesh and blood race or lineage, but are implanted with vestiges of Avarity technology or something thereof for those of you playing in a homebrew game. You know,
Yeah,
they
I actually
are your cybernetic biotech boys.
I absolutely love them. They have yet to show up in my homebrew world because the technology in my homebrew world has not yet been unleashed. But they do exist, just not yet. But I love them so much.
Yeah. So we haven't really gotten into it very much in our uh, Mythcraft actual play, Tales of Tuvard. Links are in our YouTube channel. But there are Radine there. No one's really gotten into the magical side of them yet.
Yeah, I always wonder. I haven't wondered if we hadn't seen them yet. I was like, I wonder if they are around, but I hadn't thought to ask about it yet.
Usuri's henchmen. What's their lineage?
Are they Radine? Oh my god! My brain does this thing where Radine and Remnant get really mixed up in my head sometimes. So I think I had remembered them as Remnant is why. But I didn't know that. Oh my god! I feel so dumb right now. Okay.
Yeah, they are Radine, my friend. At any point, if any of our wonderful chatters have any questions, go ahead and type them out. We'll go ahead and get to them. But for now, we're gonna move into the rating traits. So the height, weight, size, and base speed of the rating. The height is 6 foot to 7 foot 6 inches. Here's my thing about that. If any lineage can be a Radine, all of these height, weight, and size requirements and base speed should be based off of that lineage. However,
Agreed.
rules is written, this is the answer.
See, the way in my head I look at it, if you've seen Steven Universe, if you become a Radine, you just have the Paragon attachment that she uses to make her tall, and that's why.
Um,
for the next one,
but they do give us some things in what they say are the Radine traits. The height is 6 foot to about 7'6". The weight is 120 to about 200. The size is medium. The base speed is 20 feet. But again, I'm going to interject here and be like, talk with your MC. Because if they can be any lineage, they should be able to have any of the lineages height, weight, size, and base speed. my opinion as an MC, if you were to come to me and be like, hey, I want my Radine to be a halfling, guess what? Yeah, halfling. Grab their traits. You know, not their talents because you're a Radine. You have Radine talents, right? But anyway, if you want to go into the appearance, I'm gonna hop
Yeah.
off my
So.
soapbox real quick before I just keep going.
Oh no, I feel you. But yeah, so the Radine skin varies in in a rainbow of colors, but is always marked with geometric areas of metallic iridescence and faint panel line markings. This might look as subtle as normal human visage with slight lines on the face and arms. Conversely, a physical tell might be widely obvious, such as a Katek-like humanoid with horns, blue fur, and metallic plating. Which, I mean, to hop you back on your soapbox, that's just more things where it says you look like everything else about you looks like the lineage you can be, just with some changes. So I definitely agree with I agree with you still about letting you have your sizes and your appearance to be the other lineages with just robotic features, which I love about it too, because you can just have some real cool cyberpunk-esque styles of just like face plating is how I like it.
Yeah, you know, like there are so many ways that I want to build a Radine, right? I want that wildly colored Katek, right, with the bright blue fur. Like half their face is just covered in metallic plating, and like their bristles are made of steel. But but then why am I not being able to just use their weight instead of using the weight of the Radine?
Mm, yeah. No, I agree there.
Right? Or if I go full on like Trollkin Radine, that's just a super burnt orange color that's just covered in steel. Why am I only 200 pounds?
Uh,
Right. I know that this is flavor text, and I have said during lesson learned all the time talk with your MC about flavor text. They might
mhm.
have other things going with you, but this is the hill I might get in trouble on this platform for. Your Radiant should look like whatever their base lineage looks like.
Mhm.
And you get these features because you are different than them.
Yeah, speaking of being different than our base lineage, that's a good segue into their lifespan, which Radine have a slightly above the average lifespan of a human, roughly 80 to 110 years, regardless of their parent race, which is crazy because this can lead to some tragedy. Because if they're born to longer lived races such as elves, they will age and die far sooner and faster than their parents.
Which,
That's
again, like, the.
this is crazy because just a little bit of like in Sarah lore, elves are like like bless their like people with like go through a ritual to bless them to become a Radine. So that's such like a bittersweet moment of like your child being selected as an elf to be like, oh, they're gonna be a Radine, a great. And there's also time really is like my kid's gonna down 100% die before me. Like there's some very dark lore implications of Radine with that, depending on the race you choose from. And I always like to find those little sad bits of lore. So that's one of my bits that I really enjoy.
I mean, and it's not only the elves, right? Like, since they can be born to any race,
Mm-hmm.
any lineage with a lifespan longer than 110 years, which, I mean, we talked about the dwarves with their 200 some.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't think any of the others that we talked about.
Brunei,
Yeah, the
they.
Brunei with their 500 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm even thinking of like there's a lot of tragedy with the Urukau and the way that they age, but I'm thinking of like a female Urukau redeem,
Oh yeah. Or even
right?
the opposite, a male or cow is blessed with a longer life in for some because they live less
Yeah,
long. Like that's there's some weird implications with that bit right there that can be very fun to play with depending on your lineage and their age.
yeah, and like so we all know that. I as an MC, like I have two very different uh Urkel cultures in our world for Tales of Yavard, um, where they're almost opposites of each other, and they would react to this happening very differently for both of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Oh.
like the fact that they have this part of regardless of their parent lineage that their lifespan is this,
Mm-hmm.
then it should talk in everything else to follow the other lineages. Get back on my soapbox for a minute, and then I'm gonna have to get off of it.
Also, Dana, to comment on that, that is very true. If you have a lineage where you're almost, I guess you'd almost hope to have your kid be born at the end of your lifespan and not have to see your king guys like, I'm glad you were blessed as I'm an old ass man. Just like, I see my boy get built up, and then I'm gonna go lay down for my big sleep because I don't want to see the end of that. uh, yeah, and is I wonder what it also like. There's also the lore implications of if you wanted to put it on to a older person. Like, what does that look like if you have a person who's gifted with Radine stuff at their like 70th? Like a old Urkel man is 60 on his like getting ready to go. And then they're like, well, let's implement some Radine tech into you, my boy, and give him a boost of life. Like it's very fun, the magic bio tech, the way it works in especially because I think any biotech is really fun, but I love the way it works with these guys a lot, especially. And lifespan is such a odd thing already to kind of role play when you're playing a race that lives longer.
Or
Um,
not as long even. That's
mm-hmm,
even funner. Uh, at least for me, it's like there are some lineages that have exceptionally short lifespans. We haven't gotten into them yet. I'm thinking Katek,
mm-hmm.
or not Katek. Katek isn't what I'm thinking of. I mean, they're not necessarily super long lived either. But Kleppen was the one I'm thinking of.
Yes, yeah. I was brain,
Yeah.
but yeah, 50 to 60. Whew, that's it's weird. It plays fun because like us as humans, we have such a already I think a weird concept of life. So I think it's fun to get into the mindset of like getting to play like I'm gonna be an elf who can live forever, or I'm gonna be a back in the day type human in the freaking 600s where we all died early as shit.
Yeah, and like so, well, when we talk about like a lot of the human lifespan getting longer and longer and longer, and it being so short back in the olden times, a lot of that is a weighted average because of deaths happening earlier in life
Mm-hmm.
that are now preventable, where they didn't used to be preventable. Um, that being said, we're about to get. This is going to be
I
an
know.
episode where I might go on some tangents. We haven't even
Yeah,
started going over the lineage talents yet.
I know. Okay, I'll let you go start the talents. I'm gonna hold myself.
No, no, it's good. This will be a fun episode. Um, but yeah, this is definitely one of the lineages that I have some like hard. This doesn't make as much sense to me as certain other things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So understand those of you listening in post. I might sound like I got a bit of a soapbox here, but I got a bit of a soapbox here. So I'm trying to rein myself in on some of this. On some of this. All right. So talking about the redeem features, starting at level 1, we gain one feature, and this is another lineage that has sublineages. So we'll gain our main lineage and then all of the sublineage features, but we only get to choose one at level 1. So our main feature is Psionic Attunement, which is choose one manifestation of any aptitude from the psionic source. You know that manifestation, and it costs 0 SP for you. Use your magic attribute if you have one. If not, use charisma.
Ugh, so freaking good. I know we haven't touched on psionic magic yet, so I mean,
I mean, we've
so
been kind of avoiding a lot of the magical things.
yeah, I feel like we might
Um,
take a small dip into just explaining maybe that one a little bit more, just because.
well, so psionic manifestations are very specific spells. I'm thinking about lesser telekinesis, create weapon,
Mhm.
create ammunition. Um, I think those might be the main three that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, those are the
Oh,
big ones, I think.
inspiration is another one.
Oh yeah, there's
Jump is another one.
Mind Fist.
Mind fist. So like, there's quite a few that you can grab from. Um, but again, we will have more in depth explaining on what the difference between a manifestation and a regular spell
Hmm.
is and all of that on another video. I I don't know if each magic source will get its own video, or we'll see how far that gets into things, because
Yeah,
some of those sources are more in depth than others. Some of them are less in depth. Eventually, we'll go spell by spell and explaining those, but that is definitely later down the line because we're gonna finish the lineages first.
yeah. Okay.
All right.
Sweet. Going
Um,
into our sublineages, we
yep.
have corrupted as our first one, and as a corrupted Radine, you gain the following: razor plating, which your Radine plating is razor sharp. Your dominant hand grows a retractable blade that can be used as a weapon with the stats of a scimitar or a short sword. And that gives you the ability to use either strength or dexterity, if I am remembering correctly.
I believe a scimitar is a scimitar strength based.
No, yeah, scimitar is dex, short sword is strength.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's a 1d6 that you can use either strength or dex for, which is, I mean, that's just fun flavor. Just tractable blade.
I mean, you're literally pulling a one-handed Wolverine, right? Like, you can pull that kind of inspiration,
I love it
or
so much.
the Weapon X version,
Yeah,
the very disappointing. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
yeah. We don't need to get on that soapbox for something completely out of Mythcraft because I can get on one.
Right, right.
uh, but yeah, the corrupted also gain one other as a sublineage. You gain both of these at level 1, and at level 5 you can choose from the list from later on. You gain blood as fuel, which is your charisma per recoup. You spend 1 AP to consume any source of fresh blood other than your own, provided that source is within 5 feet of you. There is no attack roll, no attack roll is required, but you are limited to targeting corpses, bloody creatures, or creatures with bleeding condition. Doing so grants you TA on all attacks until the end of your next turn, as you are fueled by blood.
All right. So we got a question talking earlier about our magic attribute. Um, the question is your magic attribute one of the core attributes? Do you just choose one that you're better at, or is it given to you at some point? So the way I read everything that says use your magic attribute, if not use charisma, is if you were to gain magic from any other source, you would use whatever attribute that says. So if you were to just take Initiative of the Occult, just because I know that one off the top of my head, you use charisma. or if you were to take a level in which you would have a then have a magical attribute of endurance, you would use that instead. And then if you do not take a talent that generates a magical attribute for you, you use charisma instead. I'm hoping that helps you out. If not, shoot us another question. We'll answer it then.
Yeah, actually something that confused me a lot when I was first getting into it with the some talents over which ones kind of override each other when it comes to magic, stuff like that too.
Right, and we'll get into what overrides what in the
Magic stuff, yeah.
because the I'm gonna have an overview magic, just a magic overview video eventually, where we just talk about magic and how it works and different things, but and I do plan on talking about what overrides what in that episode.
Okay, sweet.
Okay. Our next feature is a redeem the sublineage that we have as a redeem is the Dreamer sublineage. With that, we get advanced analytics, which your mechanical mind processes data at an advanced pace. Whenever you make a check to see through magical illusions, gain +4 to that check. Nice, fun, flavorful niche ability.
Yeah.
And then we have Pierce Soul, which is twice per rest. Your gaze is enough to shatter even the most steadfast mental defense. Whenever you make an attack roll against a creature targeting one of their mental defenses, you may give yourself a +4 to the attack.
That is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Just twice per rest, boom, +4 to whatever roll, considering how tight the math is, especially against a mental defense, which would be your anticipation, your willpower, or your logic. With the way the game is set up, those are very strong, and that +4 is exceedingly strong. I'll get into that a little bit more with my Dreamer build later on in the video.
I cannot wait. I love that ability so much. It's just, and the flavor of it too. Like the way it's like your gaze is enough to shatter through the most steadfast mental. It's just, it's written so well too.
Right, it's an amazing ability. And the other lineage that we have is the Paragon. We get Magical Resonance, which is once per rest. Your Radiant plating resonates with magical energies. You get to choose one type of the elemental damage. When you get this ability is how I read the choose one type. When damage of that type hits you, you may spend 1 reactive AP and gain affinity with that damage. You regain this affinity for 1 minute. Now, as I have talked before in the Dragonfolk video, affinity with a damage type is excessively strong. Almost strong enough that I would shoot myself in the foot with a wand to give myself that affinity.
That is not a bad idea. I never even thought about that.
As an MC, that is super metagamey, but it is that strong that I will sacrifice the D6, D8, D10 plus my casting to gain affinity. That being said, I would also understand if an MC was like, "No, you're not gaming it that much." All right. And the other ability, guys, I told you I'm going to be kind of adamant on this one, because I have some views on some of these abilities.
I want to play a Radine that does just kill you and just taser themselves.
Right. It is literally the tasering yourself to make yourself better at doing electric damage. Anyway, the other Paragon ability that you get here is efficient by attack. Your internal organs operate more effective than normal beings, drawing directly from magic to sustain you. You no longer require food or drink to sustain yourself, and you are immune to food based diseases. You still need to breathe. Fun, flavorful ability. If you happen to be in like a campaign that does a lot of, you have a DM that likes to poison the food and water that you drink, or an even better one is for you to play this character that then goes around poisoning people.
That is, oh my god, Spaz.
I'm just saying, dude. How do you convince people that food's not poisoned? You take a drink of it, then you
Hmm.
hand it off, and guess what? You're immune. You're immune to it.
Yeah.
You're immune to it. So
I was just thinking this would be really good for a super hard survival campaign. That'd be freaking just have some Radine. Oh my
yeah,
god.
not having to eat or drink is great for a survival campaign as well. I told you, I warned you guys in this episode, I have some opinions. I am sorry if you all get tired of my rants tonight, but I have some opinions, y'all.
I love it. No, I mean I have some stuff for the end of the stuff that I have for personal homebrew in my world I want to bring up, but to go to some more features,
Which,
we
now we're going to move into the all Radine features.
oh yes,
And we get these features at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, or 29th level. We get to choose one of these.
yes, sorry.
Again, like I've said before in other lineage videos, if you have a sublineage ability, you're probably not going to be able to choose from your lineage features
Right away.
right away. Not until level 5. But
But
anyway,
yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, don't be. That's a good reason to cut off. I skipped right over that part. But it starts off with advanced analytics 2, which is you need to be a Dreamer Radine and to be character level 10. And you gain +3 to investigating and intuiting. Just
A solid straight buff to
mm-hmm,
the things that, dreamers are already good at doing.
literally.
You know, Ancestral Divinity is going to be our next one that we have. We learn 2 prayers of our choice, which prayers are the SP free spells of the Divine Source. These prayers count as psionic magic for you instead of divine. Use your magic attribute. If you do not have one, use charisma. Just like I was talking about before, I could see some gaminess with this,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the Divine Source, because the Divine Source has some interesting, fun picks.
The Radine can be are just a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of fun things you can do with them.
Oh,
Um,
I absolutely agree with you, right? But imagine being a witch with access to like the light burst prayer or stabilizing touch,
oh,
right?
stabilizing touch is just so. That's one of my favorites.
Right. Or celestial grace.
That is very. That is yeah. That's a fun little mixture right there. Or
There's a lot of fun stuff on the divine spell list with
mhm.
that would pair really fun with your Radine.
Oh yeah, it works well. Speaking of things that work well with divine, our next one is a session. Ascension. At character level 15, you learn the Angel Wing spell from the Divine Source, but it counts as psionic magic for you. You may cast this spell once per rest.
All right.
Great spell.
Oh yeah. So a bit of the spell description. You one creature that you touch is part of casting the spell sprouts angelic wings. This grants the creature a fly speed of 40 feet. If the creature already has a fly speed, it increases its fly speed by 40 feet. You may choose when you cast the spell for the wings to glow, shed bright light for 30 feet, and dim light for 30 feet beyond that. If the wings glow, you cannot make them stop glowing. One, you want to talk about the utility of just giving flight, right? Is already very strong. But now you're not only giving yourself light, you're also creating a bubble of light around them.
Yeah, it's so good. And I mean, 40 feet of movement, that's double the base speed of most characters, which as my big thing is, I love the AP system, and it makes movement is a big tactical part of it in the fight. So having that double move speed is just makes life fun, man. I love zooming around. And it is also just pairs well with some other things we see a little bit later down in the Radine track very well. So absolutely, it's great.
Right. No, I love it. Right. I think it's amazing. So the next one that we have is Blood is Fuel 2, which requires Blood is Fuel. And that states when using your Blood is Fuel feature, you gain additional +1 to all attack rolls and gain +1 to all of your defenses until the end of your next turn. That is strong. Because it's the end of your next turn. It's not the end of this one. So you get that benefit for the rest of this turn because you had to spend an AP to start this. And then all of your next turn as well. It's just strong.
Beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. It I mean, and you can gaining the +1s. I love stacking +1s as we've seen in the pod. We love stacking the +1s. So give me some more. Our next feature though is Calm Appraisal, which is a repeatable feature. We gain +6 skill point that you can +6 skill point that you can spend on any skills with the observation tag. You do not spend more than 4 points on a single skill in this way, which I mean this pairs very well with the Dreamer. I mean, the first that comes to mind. I mean, just adding more to those, I can see and be good at things.
Okay. Okay. Just to list a couple of skills that are part of the observation tag, right? Investigating, eavesdropping, appraising, intuiting, perceiving.
I got them robot eyes. I see
Some
everything.
of the best, most useful skills in the game are in the observation.
And it's repeatable.
And it's repeatable. You just keep taking it. You know, eventually give yourself an extra plus. An extra 22 points in perceiving.
I see everything.
Roll a 2, I got a 24.
I love it so much.
You know, it's a very strong skill. And that example is if you put everything into perceiving. I don't necessarily recommend that anyway. The next thing that we have is the Devouring Biotech, which requires you to be a Paragon Redeem and have a character level of 15. And what it states is that once per rest, your biotechnological makeup allows you to not only passively consume ambient magics for nutrients, but also steal it from magical attacks directed at you. When an enemy within 10 feet of you casts a spell or activates a magical effect that would damage you and no other targets, you may spend 2 reactive AP to make a charisma roll against their willpower. On a success, you negate the damage and instead gain 1d6 HP. The creature still loses their AP, but not any associated SP or rechargeable sources. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I could see taking this and then having my mage shoot me with magic when I need healed. I'm in death
Yeah,
points. I'm in death points. Oh well, shoot me with magic. Have my mage shoot me.
and not to lie, this also does well with the infinity. You can just, hey, I'm gonna tase myself and also get healed from it, and also, oh, that's so good. Okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna tase myself, and instead of it hurting me, I'm gonna get healed by it and grab my AP. It really, really. I'm looking at you guys. You know what you did.
strong. uh,
All right. Up next, we got eidetic memory, and this is required from the dreamer. And what eidetic memory does is you gain the ability to recall information with a near perfect accuracy. Whenever you make a check to remember knowledge or images that you've encountered within the past month, you gain a +4 to the check. On a success, you remember it with perfect detail. Which would be good for players like me who can't remember shit
no, I was
sometimes.
just thinking, as someone who would love to be a note taker, but cannot take notes and also be involved if I take serious notes, and also has a -2 intelligence IRL. I love stuff like this and being able to be like, well, actually, I may not, but MC, you have to tell me because I my character knows. That is very helpful for the likes of me.
Yeah. See, that's the wonderful thing about playing in games that are recorded
Oh my
is I
gosh,
can
it's
go
well
back and
said.
listen and take my notes.
I record my home game now for that reason because this makes it easier.
All right. After eidetic mind, guess what? After eidetic memory, we get eidetic memory too, which you need character level 15 and eidetic memory for. So your memory is honed to a fine point. Your eidetic memory feature applies to knowledge and images that you've encountered within the past 6 months.
I mean, just it's the same stuff we just said, but better. Like
Yeah, yeah. It's, it,
6 months is a long time, especially for some campaigns. Like some, I mean, there's some time skips and all that, but a lot of times, some days can go on for 4 or 5 sessions. So IRL, it's been 5, 6 months, in a day in campaign, it's been like 3 days. You know what I mean? So it's
mm,
like that is very, very. Please, my brain needs stuff like that.
right. After another one that we have is enveloping mind, which also is needed from the Dreamer Radine, which is once per recoup, your psychic or psionic defenses extend to your allies. Whenever a creature within 10 feet of you is targeted with an attack or spell that would affect the dazed or staggered condition, you may spend 2 reactive AP to add +2 to their defenses.
So good. That's just
Yo, protecting your party, even if it's against, dazed or staggered, which are very strong,
hmm
I believe, conditions. I mean, all conditions are strong as someone that has built characters around doing nothing but conditions. So dazed, like your current AP is reduced to 3 unless it was already 3 or lower. You gain no more than 3 AP at the start of your turn while dazed, and you cannot use reactive AP or carry over AP from previous rounds. I mean, you're someone that plays a character that always brings out more than 3 AP and has since pretty well at the beginning.
yeah, pretty much. So That is very useful.
Yeah.
I hate the dazed condition. It is it is like coordination is one of my favorite things to build into. I love building characters who can punch. Obviously, Les is not that. He's very different than a lot of my characters would normally play.
But you
But
still have a relatively high core.
yeah, exactly. I
And
can't
you
even
still
imagine
use
what he would
react
do.
you have so much reactive AP too. So
It would
which
it
would
would don't
get rid
please
of.
never don't daze me. Don't start thinking about that now. I see the gears starting to turn.
You know.
Stop it.
And then staggered, you gain half the AP you normally would at the start of each of your turns. So if there is a way to stagger and daze someone, you're in trouble. That's all
Life
I'm
is
gonna say.
ruined. Your life is ruined.
You
Yeah.
know, someone that starts with 3 AP, starts their turn with 3 AP. Since everything in Mythcraft is rounded up, you'll start with 2, but you won't be able to roll over any AP.
No, stop it. Stop thinking. I don't like lesson
This
learned anymore. This
this
feels like
would
it's
be
antagonistic against the pod.
this would be absolutely devastating against any heavy weapon build.
You can't swing.
Yeah, you can't swing because almost every heavy weapon is going to require 3 or more. You can't hold anything over, and you only have 2. You can't swing.
Stop it. Stop it. Ah! Well, our next skill to keep moving so we don't have more time to think on that. Forgotten knowledge is a repeatable skill. It's uh lineage feature, not skill. Sorry. Gain 6 skill point that you can spend on any skills with the knowledge tag. You cannot spend more than 4 points on a single skill in this way. And I mean, knowledge is I love knowledge. That's just those are great skills to interact with the world. So as someone, I love all those skills. The arcana, astrology, history, medicine, military politics, vehicles water, as we love vehicles water in the
We
pod.
love vehicles water in our pirate campaign, don't we? But also vehicles land, religion, art, engineering, economics, law, medicine. There's a lot. There's a
Oh
lot.
yeah. It's if you like a character who wants to interact with the world and like learn, like they're like I said, it's all about that knowledge. They're just super helpful and fun to have. I think getting any pluses in those makes interacting with the world easier and go in your favor more. So freaking dip in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the next one that we have is Magical Resonance 2, which has the requirements of Magical Resonance and character level 20. So what it states is your magical resonance becomes once per recoup. And if we remember, magical resonance was that ability that gave us affinity. Sorry.
It is so good. I mean, that adds on. Like having that, you pretty much have that in your pocket for any fight if you're taking a recoup between fights. Obviously, you're not gonna if you dip into the other one to gain the D6 HP, you're not gonna be able to use that every time. But that's still just being able to have affinity for any fight if you want it is just good.
Yeah.
um, our next one brings us to the Paragon Attunement, which you need to be a Paragon sublineage. You are particularly sensitive to certain sources of magic that your body has optimized itself to in your environment. When you succeed a skill check to track, locate, or identify an instance of magic, such as residue of a fireball, the enchantment of an object, or the abilities of a magical creature, you also learn the source and sources of magic that it draws power from, how long it has been enchanted, and any instances of the signature cantrip, if applicable. Applicable. Sorry, those are some words that Kobe's brain was struggling with to read.
Okay. So we did get a question, and
Ooh,
and I'm gonna answer it. So when things have a repeatable tag, that means you can take that talent as many times as you want. as long as you're meeting your requirements and at the levels that you're supposed to be gaining them. So I believe the last one that we talked about was repeatable gain 6 skill points. That means at level 5 you could grab this. Then again at level 10, and again at 15, and again at 20, and again at 25, and again at 29. So you could have a lot of skill points from Forgotten Knowledge, or there was another one up here, Calm Appraisal.
Mm-hmm.
But repeatable just means that you can take it more than once. If a skill, if a talent does not have the repeatable tag, that means you can only take it once. And there's no such thing as a stupid question.
No, yeah, that's a good one. That's one. I wish more talents were repeatable.
Of course you would.
um,
So the next thing that we have is Paragon Attunement 2, which gives us which requires the Paragon Attunement ability. And it gives us the Paragon Detection ability, which is once per rest. You may spend 30 seconds to meditate and immediately identify the location and direction of movement of a specific magic caster you are familiar with, provided that creature is within 10 miles of you. You only gain this insight for a moment, so you cannot supernaturally track creatures using this ability. Cannot gain supernaturally track creatures using that ability. I'm sorry, but if I know what way you're moving and where you're at, I can track you. Right? Yeah, maybe I'll move past you, and then the next morning when I wake up and do this again to try and find you, guess what? I know where you're at and which way you're going. I can start going that way again.
yeah, no, it is a kind of like it's like a battleship's tracking. You might take a few shots of, not even shots in the dark necessary. They're no, that's super strong. If you really think about it, like,
I could hunt
ooh,
down the Tales of Yvard party
stop it.
with a reading.
Why do you keep doing this?
It's my example because I'm trying to see how many times I can mention our podcast in a single episode. So far, I'm up to 7.
What are sorry, I have to ask really quickly now because my brain's working. What are our Raideen? Do we know their sublineage by looking at them? Can we tell or no?
No.
Mm, now I have so okay, cool. All right. Our next one is plated body. Your AR and physical defenses increase by 1 while you are not wearing armor. This is so good. Not like a lot like there's other ones where it increase just your AR, which I'm thinking of Remnant, but this is really good because it increases your other physical defenses. With in Mythcraft, there's some specialization talents. My favorite, evasive, because I like to build decks. Um, this adds a plus to that, which then makes it so your evasive goes up, which is then your AR. So it ends up increasing multiple things. I think something like this is really strong with the way it's worded.
It's a good increase to fortitude as well. I like using tough and endurance because if I'm caring about being hit like that, I'm probably going to be more on the tankier side. So having more hit points off buffing endurance is just stronger that way.
Very true.
But again, you prefer building for dex. I prefer building for endurance.
Yeah.
Where with plated body, you could do either one.
Yeah.
Because those are your 2 physical defenses. They're your fortitude or your endurance, which is built on your fortitude or your reflexes, which is your endurance and your dexterity based defenses. But after that, we got sleek plating, which requires plated body. And you gain your plated body benefits even while wearing armor. And this is very strong for
Hmm.
your heavy armor frontline fighter.
Yeah. Also, no, I see this too as like it's um building like obviously as characters evolve into campaign. This is really this little tree of plated body to sleek plating.
Mm.
At level one, you take a specialization talent for characters. I know a lot of times I dip into like an evasive or something along the lines of that for level one for characters. So they're starting to use that, but I don't always necessarily keep that. Sometimes it's just easier. Sometimes, as you build up, you're like, well, I want to put on some armor or do this or this. And this, you don't feel like it almost like as you're building a character, your lineage builds with it. And you don't have to like feel like you're sacrificing something as much, which I think is really helpful.
Except you're kind of sacrificing that level one starting talent.
Yes, no, it definitely does, but you're not necessarily losing all of it because you gain the benefit of this other thing. So it's not like if you dipped into this for evasive and then you're like later on you're like, well, I don't have room for evasive 2 or the next one in my talent tree. I can pick sleep plating in and put an armor and not feel like I completely wasted something. Because then there's always times too where like me, I would like evasive even and then wear armor after sometimes when I build high level characters. Because like if I get de-armored, I'm still pretty ready. You know what I mean? So it gives you I think it's just a fun little tree to help you benefit you.
Oh yeah, but yeah, no, I love plated body and sleek plating for your big frontline beefy.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually getting like full plate mail, like field plate, running into combat. I love it. And then it's still you still get the buffs to your reflex
Mm-hmm.
and fortitude.
Oh yeah, and then I mean
Which
you
the
wear
earliest you
armor.
can grab is sleek plating, which means you're level 10. You're going to be fighting things that target reflex and fortitude as well as they are.
Mm-hmm.
So having them all better is still going to be good for you.
Yeah, and I mean knowing and also knowing you're building into this just because I love this one. You take the second skin talent for your armor you're wearing, and you're gaining even more. Like it's just you can be very tanky with it. This is just super tank fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
But to move on, some different type of plating. We have spike plating, which is for a corrupted Raideen. And whenever a creature grapples you or makes an unarmed attack against you, make a charisma attack attacking that creature's anticipation. This attack costs no AP and you can use it indefinitely. If you hit, that creature takes 1d4 sharp damage. If the creature starts its turn grappling, you may make this attack again. Which I mean, this is good. I mean, any frontline anybody you're gonna have to deal with unarmed things or getting grappled like that. Just having that is super fun, and I think
I mean, it's very
I
strong.
will say the way it's written though, there's no limit on you use. I know obviously it's like implied there's as one per turn, but there's not saying anything that you can't. It just
Actually, it does. It says you cannot use it indefinitely. It literally
no
in
you
the description.
you can use it indefinitely. I think it's supposed to
Oh,
say that. And I'm looking. I think I'm just finding out a spelling error because right the way it's written right now, grab me. I dare you. You're dead.
yeah. I'm gonna drop this question in Discord in a little while.
And this is sometimes the lesson learned is the lesson learned along the way.
Right.
Oh, that's really funny. After that, though, we have another one for the corrupted Raideen. Storm of Daggers at character level 10. May spend 4 AP to assault your enemy with a storm of blades and spines. Make a charisma attack versus the reflex of all hostile creatures within 15 feet of you. On a successful attack, they take 1d8 sharp damage and become shaken until the end of your next turn.
See, and shaken is one of my favorite debuffs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because shaken they suffer a -2 penalty on all d20 rolls, just all of them. That's everything within 15 feet of you.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, this is just you get surrounded by people trying to get TA from like getting flanking on you and stuff. Actually, you fell into my trap. You take 1d8 and now you're at -1 because obviously you're. I just love it. It's so good.
It is great. So the next one that we have is Tireless Soul, which you no longer psychologically require sleep or physiologically require sleep. You must, however, still rest your mind to avoid, psychological exhaustion.
Hmm.
You take 4 hours of quiet meditation, and that is significant for you to take a rest. However, you cannot take a rest more than once per 24 hours as usual.
I love this. I say that a lot. I really love Mythcraft. I'm like, this is a great town. I love this. I'm really so into this system. It's so funny.
It's a
I'm just
great
realizing how
system.
much I'm repeating it. um, no, I mean like this is great. You have this. You can dip into like if you're like a biomechanical. You don't need to eat. You don't need to sleep. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's
The only
great.
thing you need to do is breathe.
I just gotta breathe, baby.
And then the last talent that we have right now is Wings of Splendor. By spending 3 AP, you can grant yourself a flying speed equal to your walking speed for the next 10 minutes. It's strong.
Hmm.
I
This
can't I can't, talk enough about how strong flying is. Flying is always going to be strong.
Oh my god, yeah. And then I mean, if you have this, just take angel wings, and if you really want to, you put angel wings on yourself, and then you have a 60 fly speed, and you are straight zooming around because 60 feet of movement flying is crazy.
It's insane. There's a lot of fun things with Wings of Splendor and Angel Wings. You know, just because that spell is great.
Yeah, it's very good. Um,
But so, like we normally do when we come to the end, I have some. I have a build for my Dreamer. It's gonna be the first build. I'm gonna get into it, right? And remember, our Dreamers are guys that shatter mental defenses, right? And you know what makes a lot of attacks against mental defenses, specifically willpower? Troubadours.
I was thinking it. I was like, I do that. Well, I could do that. I don't because I just buff my party, but. Oh.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. My alarm went off. I forgot to turn it off before we got in here.
So I'm probably gonna make a Dreamer Troubadour, you know, and then grabbing like that is like an investigator because troubadours also get a lot of skills, right?
Hmm.
So you could take that investigating, perceiving, and then grab advanced analytics and buff that up even higher, right? Take that calm appraisal at 5 advanced, and then eidetic memory. Just make yourself the ultimate investigator because and that also buffs your allies, makes attacks. You do make willpower attacks when you are demoralizing your
Yeah, I
enemies.
have the one. Yeah.
Imagine if some of those times that you missed on those, you could just be like, "Hey, add +4 to that." Would that still hit?
Wait, Lesh would live for that.
Right. So would my character in Mythcraft Legends,
Hmm.
Melazog Chava, who a completely different play style of Troubadour,
Oh yeah.
because he is a debuffing focused Troubadour, where Lesh is a buff focused Troubadour. But he would also love to just be able to drop that +4 whenever.
Hmm.
You know, that's why like when I was first reading that, I'm like, investigator definitely, but Troubadour actually would be a lot of fun here too.
Oh yeah, super freaking strong. I it's such. I think it's really funny too because how the troubadour it does it. So you're like, I'm really smart and good at knowing things. So I'm gonna demoralize you of picking out the smallest detail about you. You didn't even know you had an insecurity about, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
no. uh,
Mm-hmm. All right. What
what
example
am
you
I
got?
bringing to the table? All right, so I am building a corrupted Raideen. They are going to be a uh they are like a kind of like an assassin for hire type character.
So probably going with
They
the scimitar version.
yes, that's the Dex one.
Yep.
Yeah, Dex. Yeah, they're Dex based. They are also they dip a little heavier into the psionic magic tag. Their aptitude itself is the change body one that they have for 0, so they can just uh change the way they look after killing somebody. They dip into psionic magic more though for some like buffing. They like use hasten and stuff like that. Ignore the pain, and some meta ones like create ammu, create weapon. They are just pretty much all about making sure your target is gonna get messed up. For the Rizdean stuff, they start with they go deeper into oh, I just closed my thing on accident instead of opening it. But yeah, they dip into the plated body, of course, and then we go into Storm of Daggers at level 10. We eventually go for Wings of Splendor and doing the Angel Wings as well, because this guy eventually used hasten on himself, so he doubles his movement speed. He ends up with 80 fly speed. Um, and a high coordination is all I gotta say. So he gets in, kills stuff, and he is out of there before you even knew it, flying away into the sunset. I love him. He's great.
No, it does sound like a lot of fun. So the way I would probably, of course, we all knew I had another one.
Oh, of course.
Well, I have the Paragon, and I think the Paragon plays very well as like your mage caster.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you could drop your fireball on yourself and give yourself affinity.
Uh, how big is this room again?
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
but I think you get what I'm saying. Like you could
Mm-hmm.
drop the fireball on your self detonation, and it's not as damaging. Eventually, making it so that you could self detonate on yourself. You could drop that fireball on yourself and heal
Oh, oh, that's
and gain affinity for fire.
what a fun mind game that is too, though. Like as an enemy having to deal with that. No, thank you.
Like what is the main thing that you want to do when you see a caster? You want to run up and get within melee.
Mm.
Imagine a caster that drops fireball on themselves and heals.
The walking out of that flame afterwards would be such a badass moment for that caster. Just like shrugs it off, throws out a firebolt that's powered up. Just like, what about it?
Right, right. Like, um, there's so much, so much.
I think Radians are very well suiting for like. I mean, a lot of like I said, a lot of the things that MC has before lineage are very well at being anything. But Ray Dean, I like. It feels like even like they have kind of like the sub lineages are good at this kind of stuff, obviously. But even in those, they're just. I love the way you can build differently within those the ways you would do it. And oh god, I really want to build some characters now. Every time we do these, man, I build like
Yeah,
3 characters. It's like I'll never
it's
play all of them, but they're there.
hey, I mean, and again, these are just ideas, right? These are
Mm-hmm.
just us looking at it and going, what would I do with this? That being said, you could make a any any lineage can be any class.
Oh yeah, it's.
Any sublineage can be any class, right?
Hmm.
What mage wouldn't like to have a hidden blade just in case they need to shank someone because they're out of magical abilities, right?
Yeah, and that'll. Yeah,
What
oh.
what frontliner wouldn't like to? I have frontline builds that target other things than just AR, that do
Hmm.
target mental defenses in some cases. So being able to add a +4 to that attack roll with your side knife rogue, just adding +4 to hit that, because they have an ability that lets them target logic.
Yeah.
That's really good too, right? So like anything can be anything. This is just our views sometimes on
Yeah. I mean,
just some character ideas. I don't want
if,
people watching these videos and then being like, "Oh, they said this is the best for that."
oh
I'm
no.
not saying that this is the best for that.
Oh
Understand that. I'm not saying this is the best. This
no.
is
If we
just
had an
one
extra
topic.
hour, I bet me and you could probably build like six for each one of these, if really, and then show you some different type. Like it's
Absolutely.
very immense all you could do. Like I just going over like just give a second one for the Paragon. I clearly thought of the Paragon is also a great freaking mage slayer. Like
Absolutely.
I was augmented in a time of war where there's too many mages. They built me to be defensive against like walking into the room with a mage who tried to drop fireball on you and being like, actually, no.
Absolutely, right?
Oh,
They
it's
they
so
make
good.
amazing mages, amazing mage slayers. You know, um, the dreamer. We talked about two builds for the dreamer. Talked about two builds for the corrupted, right? So yes, if we wanted to be here all night, we could talk about how each sublineage could play each um, class and subtrack class and right where, but we give these examples just to help you guys understand what we see out of it. That is not to say this is the only way to build a character. I'm never gonna say I'm the only one. This is the only way to do something. I'll give you guys the math. I'll give you guys all that kind of stuff later because I have it. I have a chart. I have a
I got
chart
the
of
chart.
when certain things stop becoming the best thing to target and something else does.
That does not surprise me in the slightest.
It's
I
I enjoy it,
no, yeah, that's your shit. I
you know,
appreciate it.
but oh, I closed that tab accidentally.
I fun for my little homebrew world,
Yeah, go ahead.
Radine. I they're like the more of a like they're a biomechanical thing, but it's more of a virus than it is like a blessing in my world.
Okay.
So you get infected. You can get infected with it, and you'll end up losing out on a lineage feature if it happens, and you get this because you end up getting one of the sublineages ones, which is I haven't fully brought it out, but I want to bounce it out because I think it's super fun. And I want to change it up a little bit for my own lore because I like magic techno viruses because I've been reading a lot of cable comics lately, so I got a little inspired.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. All right. But do any of our wonderful listeners have any questions for us? Just see if you guys have any questions.
Okay.
think that might be it. Not seeing any question from everyone. However, if you were not able to catch us live and you're listening later on, and you have questions for us, please put comments down on the videos. I'll be more than happy to answer them in the comments later. If you would care, don't mind, like comment, liking, subscribing, sharing our content, getting us out there for more people to see would be absolutely amazing. All right.
Yeah.
But I do think that is everything we're going to have time for today. If you want to see how Radine work in our game, go ahead and check out our actual play podcast, Tales of Yvlard. You know?
Yeah, because Les is going to be asking the Radine in our party some questions now after this. But yeah, also don't forget to let us know if there's any topics you want us to cover next time in the comments below. As if not, we're going to probably go back into alphabetical order and see you guys with the next lineage.
All right. And I hope you all have a wonderful time.